Hello, I'm Leanne, and I'm here to give a podcast on humanism and its influence on the Renaissance and Renaissance art. Now, if you're new to the concept of humanism, a definition of humanism is a worldview from the Renaissance era that is centered around humanity and the value of personal life and achievements. Now, some core values that go into humanism is not focusing on religion and Christianity and instead taking classical learning and bringing in values like human potential, secularism, which is another way of saying they put a greater emphasis on human affairs other than religious, and educational values. Well, you may be thinking, where did this concept of humanism come from? Well, it was from the people of the Renaissance taking influence from the Greek and Roman cultures having been rediscovered in classical texts. Two key figures that had humanistic values were Petrarch, who was often called Father of Humanism and was known from his rediscovery of classical texts, and Erasmus of Rotterdam was a Christian humanist who was known for bringing back original Christianity texts and for emphasizing education and humanistic thinking. Like in the title, humanism has a great impact on Renaissance art. This is because it inspired artists of the time to explore themes of nature and realism, discovering more of the human body and human perspective. Artists also took interest in classical antiquity, which was also known as the classical era for the Greco-Romans, instead of ideas and symbolism from the Middle Ages. One more theme that stuck out in Renaissance art was the attention to detail and their development of individual ideas. Some key artists that were in the Renaissance include Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Raphael, Donatello, and Botticelli, who all expressed humanistic values through art, mainly by focusing on the revival of human beauty and individuality, instead of religious themes that were commonly seen in the Middle Ages. Now, like I said before, humanism emphasized human virtues, individualism, and classical text. That all had an effect on Renaissance thinking and literature. Most historical texts from the Renaissance include those aspects and ideas. I would also like to note that these pieces of literature were a massive change and shift from texts before the Renaissance that seemed to always go back to religion. Some notable writers from the Renaissance include Dante Alighieri, Francesco Petrarch, Giovanni Boccaccio, Niccolo Machiavelli, and William Shakespeare, who all challenged the old ideas and brought in those humanistic and individualistic ideas in their pieces. Now, back to humanism as a whole, there is a huge legacy of many different aspects of humanism from the Renaissance that has left a major impact on the world today. Whether it be the rediscovery and revival of classical learning, the influence of people's views and thoughts worldwide, shaping educational and artistic values, and they laid the groundwork for reformation in the Renaissance. Now, my final thoughts that I have to add to sum up this podcast is that humanism has had such an impact on the Renaissance world and our world today. You see, and that's because it was such a dramatical shift from the religious ideas of the Middle Ages and gave importance to human values and nature. So that concludes my podcast on humanism and its influence on Renaissance art and the Renaissance. Thank you so much for listening. I do appreciate it, and have a nice day.